Thank you for joining me, Glenora Shipura, on NMH at 1. In this lunch hour, we will highlight the news making headlines in Namibia and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. Here are the news headlines. Namcor's Mulunga cleared of corruption. Gobabis Vocational Training Center to introduce solar and agri-Tvet training programs. Controversial legislation in South Africa sparks debate on black employment advancement. Do stay with NMH at 1. In our midday news update, a new law aimed at increasing black employment in South Africa is anchoring entrepreneurs who fear job losses for skilled workers. The government ensures for its part that it is only a question of promoting diversity and equality. This does not mean that white people are going to be eliminated to make way for disadvantaged groups. Labour Minister Thulas Nxesi recently pleaded. The main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, plans to demonstrate on Wednesday in Cape Town to denounce the tax, signed but not yet enforced, which it describes as a law on racial quotas. Some 600,000 people will lose their jobs because they don't have the right skin color or because they live and work in the wrong regions, said its leader, John Steenhuisen. 30 years after the end of apartheid, South Africa remains the most unequal country in the world. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia right after the break. Do stay with NMH at 1.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into our visual news, the Gobabis Vocational Training Center offers training courses from level 1 to 4. Ernst Eichap, the center manager, shares some of the plans which will be implemented in the future, including the introduction of solar and agri-Tvet training programs. He spoke to Yolanda Nell.
Our center has been established 5 years ago. In 2016, it was inaugurated by the Honorable Minister, Dr. Ida Kanji Muranki. And 2017, September, it was officially taken over by Namibia Training Authority. It is resorting directly under the Training Authority, and we are offering technical vocational education and training courses here. We have currently air conditioning and refrigeration from level 1 to level 4. Then we have got office administration from level 1 to level 4 as well. Then we have got automotive, electrical and electronics from level 1 to level 4 as well. And we are starting as from end of this month, July. We'll be starting with clothing production from level 1 to level 4 as well. We'll move over also to welding and metal fabrication from level 1 to level 4. And then we have switched over from automotive electronics to automotive mechatronics from level 1 to level 4. And in the near future, we'll introduce electrical general, we'll introduce solar, we'll introduce agri-Tvet, agriculture, a combination of crop farming as well as animal husbandry. And then we are planning solar energy also as training. And then also we are planning to have a hostel of 300 trainees here in the near future.
300 is a lot. How many students do you currently have?
Currently, we have 155 trainees, and with the new intake, we are envisioning to move over to 300 trainees with the new intake. Last year, we had a graduation where we have 155 level 3 trainees as artisans. We qualified them as artisans. So they are now in job markets looking for job or creating jobs in the country.
Why is vocational training so important?
Madam, this is the backbone of the country. If you look in the other countries, if you take, for instance, Germany, if you take the Koreans, Asian Tigers, as I normally call them, if you take the European countries or the Americans, that is the backbone of any country. TVET enables the construction of a country economically, building the roads, building houses, building, let's say, or repairing cars, building, electrical appliances, installation of electrical appliances in the houses to light up the houses, the streets, and then the electrical appliances in the towns, and then plumbing work to make sure that the plumbing work in the houses are maintained, or in the hostels or in the offices are maintained. And then the mining sector, if you look at, for instance, now our country that is so rich with mineral resources, diamonds, hydrogen that is coming, the oil that is coming, the uranium that we have, the gold that we have, the precious stones that we have, all these things, mining sector is maintained by technical-oriented people, technical cadres, artisans, technicians, and then engineers. So TVET is very, very important in a country, for the development of the country, not only for employment purposes, but for the prosperity of a country.
After the break, Namibian Sun leads us into the newspaper review.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's take a look at inside today's daily newspapers, starting off with the Namibian Sun's front page. It was a matter where the managing director had to take a hard decision to safeguard the contract and avoid financial loss for Namcor and the country. This is the damning conclusion the Anti-Corruption Commission arrived at after its investigation into a $100 million Namibian transfer auction by National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia Managing Director Emmanuel Ims Mulunga. The money was paid to Angola for equity in 2 oil blocks in that country. Despite mounting concerns about the state of police stations countrywide, the Omusati region continues to house inmates in overcrowded cells in dire conditions. As it stands, the combined cell capacity in Utapi, Okahau, Ruakana, Tsandi, Onjamba, Etayi, Oshifo, and Oshikuku is 309, but a total of 609 inmates are currently accommodated at these towns. Omusati Governor Ergenius Njala said he shared these damning statistics during his State of the Region address for the 2022-2023 financial year last week. Now, during opposition activist Michael Amushelelo's appearance in the Windhoek High Court yesterday, lawyer Kadila Amomo said his client was arrested for singing and dancing during a protest march on Independence Day. Amushelelo is appealing the magistrate's court decision to refuse him bail. Now, Amomo replied on parts of the magistrate's court record of Amushelelo's hearing alongside parliamentarian Ina Hengari, social justice activist Dimulukeni Nuyoma. Now, parents and guardians of children living with disabilities in Namibia are apparently abusing the allowance while leaving the supposed beneficiaries to languish in poverty. Last year, the government decided to increase the amount for the disability allowance for children under the age of 18 from $250 Namibian to $1,300 Namibian. But even with a sharp increase, the money is not being used for the benefit of the children. This is what Tobias Mumoye, a youth officer at the Ministry of Sports, Youth and National Services, who is responsible for young people with disabilities, said during a workshop in Ogwediva last week. The workshop was attended by young people with disabilities from the Oshana, Ohangwena, Omusati, and Oshikoto regions from the 10th to the 21st of July. Both Hyphen Energy and Namibia government have repeatedly been accused of lacking transparency. Now, however, the company and the authorities concerned have disclosed more details about the development of the local competencies and capacities. Meanwhile, some observers remain skeptical. Activist Michael Amushelelo remains in custody following his arrest during an Independence Day protest in March. A release on bail was denied, and Amushelelo appealed. During the proceedings, his legal representative elaborates on police statements. Do stay with us. We continue with our newspaper review after the break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk.
Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
We continue with our newspaper review. The Namibian newspaper highlights the government's abandoned projects, citing a report by the Ministry of Works and Transport, which revealed that poor contract management, cash flow problems, and a lack of technical capacity from contractors are some of the reasons why more than 43 government projects have been abandoned. Still with government affairs, on its page 2, the paper reports that the government aims to eradicate unemployment by 2040 by creating up to 600,000 green jobs through the National Green Hydrogen Strategy that expands on the country's green ambitions. This is according to the Director General of the National Planning Commission and Chairperson of the Green Hydrogen Council, Obeth Kanjode. A self-proclaimed herbalist is under investigation by the Oshana police for scamming pensioners. Retirees have allegedly been targeted by this traditional healer. 7 more cases were reported to the police over the weekend implicating the same traditional healer. Now, the traditional healer in question is well known for posting videos of his alleged patients on social media, praising him for his good work. Now, of late, he has also been active on social media, posting as a philanthropic doctor, giving money to the needy. He, however, does not show his face in this post. Despite receiving insufficient funding since the 2020-2021 financial year, the management of Kara's Regional Council managed to ensure a 97% completion rate of the regional office park. According to Megamo Shikongo, Acting Director for Planning and Rural Services at KRC, they requested an amount of 50 million Namibian dollars for the completion of the office park for the 2022 to 2023 financial year, but only received 10 million Namibian dollars. Now, U.S. stocks are approaching a record high, and the outlook for corporate America is only expected to brighten. Now, investors are waiting to see if the Federal Reserve derails the market's bull run amid signs that inflation pressures are finally ebbing, setting up what has historically been a bullish stretch. The S&P 500 index is a mere 5.4% below its all-time peak. After the break, we get into your economic news. Do stay with us.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Let's take a look at our economic news. Namibia finally has its own barcode. The country has until now shared a barcode with South Africa, whose code prefix is 600 to 601. Deputy Minister of Trade and Industrialization, Verna Sinibo, said the move will see locally produced products fully recognized on global markets. She was speaking during a GS1 Namibia's launch of the barcode last week. For many years, Namibia has been utilizing the South African barcode, a period that deprived Namibia of her own unique identity. During such an era, Namibia-originated products were considered South African on the international market. Let's take a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 22.61, against the euro at 19.53, and $2 gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the NSX, Capricorn investment went up at 0.20%, and First Rand Namibia went down at 4%. The overall index closed at 0.07%, going up. All commodities went up, with Brent crude oil going at 0.08%, trading at $82.75 per barrel. The death toll as wildfires sweep across regions of Algeria has risen to 34 people, including 10 soldiers. More on this after the break.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Steven Jabela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Getting into our news from across Africa, the death toll as wildfires sweep across regions of Algeria has risen to 34 people, including 10 soldiers, on Monday. The Interior Ministry said as a heat wave spreads across North Africa and Southern Europe, some 8,000 firefighters were battling to bring the flames under control, authorities said. The Interior Ministry said that it is continuing its firefighting operations in the Bermudas, Bouira, Tizu Ouzou, Jijel, Bejai, and Skida regions. About 1,500 people have been evacuated so far. The authorities have launched a judicial investigation into the causes of the fires. A major heat wave is sweeping across North Africa, with temperatures of 49 Celsius recorded in some cities in neighboring Tunisia. A Sudanese general rejected in threatening language a Kenyan-led proposal that East African peacekeepers help end a more than 100-day war in Sudan, in a video released on Monday, drawing sharp criticism from Kenyan authorities. Now, the Sudanese army and the paramilitary rapid support forces have received multiple international mediation offers, but none have succeeded in ending or even significantly pausing the fighting that broke out on April 15th. Earlier this month, IGAD, an East African regional bloc of which Kenya is a member, proposed an initiative that will include the deployment of peacekeepers in the capital, Khartoum. The Sudanese army has repeatedly rejected the Kenyan-led initiative, accusing the regional power of supporting the RSF. It has said it will consider any foreign peacekeepers as enemy forces, leave the East African forces where they are, bring the Kenyan army. I swear to God, not one of them would make it back, said Sudanese General Yassi al-Attah in comments to troops. He also accused Kenya of being bought off by a third country, which he did not identify. Now, after the break, we get into your international news. Do stay with NMH at 1.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Let's take a look at our international news. China urged fishing boats to seek shelter and farmers to speed up their harvest, while Taiwan suspended annual military drills as Super Typhoon Duksuri spiraled closer to East Asia, potentially reaching deep into China. Duksuri will likely be the most powerful typhoon to land in China so far in the storm season this year. China narrowly escaped from Typhoon Mawar, one of the strongest tropical cyclones on record for the month of May, which was headed for China but later swung north towards Japan before dissipating. Nearly 1,000 kilometers in diameter, Duksuri is expected to sweep past lightly populated islands of the northern tip of the Philippines by midweek, while fierce winds and heavy rain lash Taiwan to the north. Philippine authorities have already raised storm warnings levels in the capital regions and dozens of northern provinces and have begun evacuating some coastal communities in the path of the storm. After the break, we get into your local sports news.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
115. The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into our local sports news, FNB Women's Super League champions Tura Magic will miss the chance to play in the CAF Women's Championship League preliminary competition as they missed the registration deadline. The FNB Women's Super League, which they won, only concluded after the CAF deadline. The club made attempts to engage CAF to consider them, but the request was denied. This news has shattered the hopes and dreams of players who were hoping to be scouted. In a statement, the club explained that the closing date for registration for the CAF tournament was the 31st of May, and it is common knowledge that the Women's Super League finished a month later. Magic player Lovisa Mulunga said they were all looking forward to yet another opportunity for themselves. Now, in our next story, Namibian professional footballer Peter Shalulile, who plies his trade for Mamelodi Sundowns, prophesizes a good season for his club. Shalulile spoke to Mamelodi Sundowns TV recently and stated that the upcoming season, kicking off on August 4th, will be about hard work and winning trophies. The talisman, who scored 12 goals for Sundowns last season, won the Golden Boot accolade and secured 3 consecutive league championships in a row with the club. Not only humbles himself by working hard, but is also a devoted Christian who credited the Lord for his ability to work hard and said the season's success would be made possible by him only. Now, the Namibia Ice and Inland Hockey Association celebrated a great day yesterday as the national women's team secured the bronze medal at the European Championship in Charleroi, Belgium. Namibia convincingly beat Italy 4-0 in the third-place playoff, making the most of the country's special invitation to the European showpiece. Goals by Daniela Doberstein, Lachsien Coetzee, Aina Borslap and Jana Lattenbach ensured Namibia a comfortable win, while goalkeeper Bridget Justinhausen kept a clean sheet at the other end. The Namibians had earlier achieved wins against Finland and Great Britain, while losing to Spain to make the quarterfinal, where they eliminated Belgium 9-2. However, they were stopped 2-0 by France in a tight semi-final. We'll get into international sports news shortly.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's take a look at our international sports news. Alex Morgan said earlier today that her United States team felt liberated after winning their fight for equal pay and can now focus on pursuing an unprecedented third straight Women's World Cup crown. One of the best-known players in women football, the 34-year-old hopes that the other national teams will also eventually win their own battles for pay parity. The U.S. team filed a complaint years ago against the U.S. Soccer Federation alleging wage discrimination. Aria Borges has come a long way in a short time, achieving a feat not even Pele or Ronaldinho could manage and winning high praise from Brazilian superstar teammate Marta in the process. The 23-year-old burst on the scene as Brazil opened their Women's World Cup campaign with a 4-0 thumping of Panama in Adelaide, scoring 3 goals and setting up the other. It made her the first Brazilian man or woman to score a hat-trick on their World Cup debut, according to governing body FIFA. In our next story, pressure and excitement are building for the Spa Pro Tees with just a few days left to go to the Netball World Cup. The 16-team global spectacle will take place on African soil for the first time since the competition was established in 1963. It kicks off on the 28th of July and will run until 6th of August. We'll be back with your news highlights right after this break.
To another exciting episode of Top.
Het is weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
You're watching NMH at 1. Here are your news highlights. The death toll as wildfires sweep across regions of Algeria has risen to 34 people, including 10 soldiers, on Monday, the Interior Ministry said, as a heatwave spreads across North Africa and Southern Europe. China urged fishing boats to seek shelter and farmers to speed up their harvest, while Taiwan suspended annual military drills as a super typhoon Duksuri spiraled closer to East Asia, potentially reaching deep into China. FNB Women's Super League champions Stura Magic will miss the chance to play in the CAF Women's Championship League preliminary competition as they missed the registration deadline. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia. Until tomorrow, stay safe and keep warm.